Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? Welcome to another broadcast, and this one's very, very important. We're very concerned about several things. Silent killers. I mean, look, it's easy. We can talk about some of the stuff that everybody knows about, and there's all kinds of diseases. I mean, Ebola has been, a major pathogen that we've been very concerned about. Folks are always nervous about Zika and what does that mean, and some of the more famous ones. But we got some things we got to talk about today that's maybe off the chart, including monkeypox. There's a monkeypox outbreak right now in the UK. It came from Nigeria. This is deadly. I mean, it's a deadly, deadly killer. And C. diff, and there's several others. But there's some silent killers that we're going to get to that you don't have a clue maybe, and it's right. You can make a difference. It can save your life. So we got to bring in the expert, and nobody is better than our friend Ronnie McMullen of GetTheTea.com. Ronnie, great to have you here today.
How you doing, Pastor?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed, and I'm excited about this broadcast. It's so important. And you and I were talking off camera. When you start talking about the silent killers out there, you got to be ready for it. So, but we got some other things that have popped up first I want to throw at you. This monkeypox. This is an ugly disease. It's coming out of Nigeria. And you've noticed lately all these planes flying in from different parts of the world with people with high fevers and stuff. So we're starting to wonder about, disease spreading through the through the airplanes.
I think when we're talking about monkeypox, we had bird flu, we had pig flu, I think we had elephant flu. No, I'm just kidding. But point being is, it seems like there's a fear tactic, and they will air on media 3 or 4 or 5 cases. And, like I remember the SARS issue and the SARS issue over, and,
Yeah.
But it's not something that wipes out hundreds of thousands of people. The fear might wipe out 100,000 people, but the actual disease itself, probably not going to happen. So for me, in fact, I'm getting ready to travel to Scotland here pretty soon. I could get pretty wrapped up in this because that's obviously the UK, but I'm thinking, you know what? We have a protection, and I'm not from Nigeria, and hopefully this is just something to make people stay home. They want, fear and that's just my take.
Well, that's a good
I'm not saying it's not real, because it is.
Right, and that's a good point. I mean, one way to make people stay home is throw this stuff out there. I mean, it's really,
Yeah.
And it's called citizen containment. And
Home lockdown. You bet. That's exactly what it is. And it's great because they don't even have to have a prison guard at your door.
And they keep everybody. But when you have a good economy, when things are cranking, people want to move around. They want to go see things and travel. But you throw some monkeypox at them, and there is some cases of it. But still,
You remember, everything that we see in the dark side, they have to have a little piece of light to make it go. That's the energy to move the darkness. Without the light, you've got nothing. So point being is, you got to have a little good in the bad to make it flourish. And the whole point with having a disease, because I remember when SARS was out, and the Asian flu, the bird flu, they were acting like within a week the whole world will be dead. Yeah. But it wasn't. And there's actually fake news going on in the healthcare realm right now. They embellish, and they make things, if you have a penny, they act like you have $100. So it's so embellished that there's really so little truth that you go, what's going on?
That's a great point, Ronnie. It really is, and this keeps people on edge all the time. That's why I like our broadcast. When we bring you on here, we get to the factual. We start talking about the factual things that are happening. One thing we've just heard about today. It was important news that came out. Canada's very upset. It's affecting America and all of Europe, and that is C. diff. C. diff. If you take a lot of antibiotics, your body resistance gets down, and what happens is then a different bacteria, a very strong strain of C. diff now is really affecting the Americans and the Europeans and the Canadians. And it's all in the gut. This stuff is all about the intestines, the colon. And that's kind of an area that you're an expert in, I think.
Well, the lower intestine, also called the colon, is something that we need to take care of. Now, I just want to throw this out here because I'm not against anything, but we're going to do some little food for thought. Okay, antibiotics. We say this all the time. Oh, I got to get some antibiotics. I got to get some. So they've made this a catchword. So like what they're trying to do is give us just enough education to be our own little doctors, and that can be very scary. So we talk about antibiotics. Oh, you know what? I'm feeling a cold. I think I'll just go get some antibiotics. And we make it real simple. Just so you know, biotics means life. So what you're going to get at the store is anti-life pills.
What?
Okay? So I know. And people don't realize what they're doing. They don't it's like the whole catchphrase of my doctor. I went and saw my doctor. Your doctor? Nobody else, just your doctor? See, we personalize it and we own it. So if we have a disease, what do? We own it, which means there's no chance ever to be healed or cured. We keep that in our mind, and our mind locks it down, and we're in our own jail cell.
Sort of like people will say, people will say things like, well, my sugar's bad. I got, bad sugar, or my cancer that I had. I'm a survivor. But it's always personalized. It's a bad confession in the spiritual world. In the religious world, the Bible says death and life is in the power of the tongue. So,
yes.
You got to have some positive confessions. And so you're saying it.
Own something on a negative basis, you own that. And think about this. So you have antibiotics, anti-life. So we're going to go get some anti-life pills. And that's because antibiotics wipes out the bad. It does. It does do that. It also wipes out the good. So that's why a lot of people get other diseases once they take too many antibiotics, which is what you're talking about right now. The second thing is when we talk about a probiotic, what are we saying? Pro-life.
Right.
So probiotics is a positive. That's something that's good because it's pro-life versus anti-life. So it's just something to think about, and you put in your head and you go, whoa. I mean, you knew it all along. It's just, wow, I didn't remember that. But that makes sense.
Is there a time, I mean, because we got a lot of folks out there, and obviously there's probably a time when an antibiotic is necessary. Would you say that there's just, but not all the time, not everything that comes along, but there is some times when maybe we got to use some kind of antibiotics for some of the stuff. Is that, do you agree with that or no?
I do agree with that. I think, and I'm a balance guy. So, but what is everybody's balance? So somebody gets a cold 10 times a year, okay? And there are people that do. Yeah. So they go, I only use antibiotics when I get the cold. Well, 10 times a year on antibiotics is terrible.
No, that's not good.
So point being is, and now maybe you and I, we get it once a year. And we get it, if I just have a cold, I'm not going to fight it with antibiotics. But if I get something where it's moving in my chest and everything, I'm not close to going. And this is the thing that pharmaceuticals is not a bad thing. Okay, it's not. It's just that it's overrun and it's pushed, and they're not working on health and cure. They're not working on the cause. They're working on the symptoms, and that's our problem.
Before we get to these silent killers that I know are out there, I mean, for a long time, this nation it's confusing to me. Okay, so it was real cool to smoke cigarettes for a long time there. You had the Marlboro Man and everybody else. Then all of a sudden it was horrible to smoke cigarettes, and they had to shut everybody down. And then they come out with e-cigarettes, which every time I see someone smoking an e-cigarette, I'm thinking, what in the world are they smoking? I mean, and now I guess the FDA and even the authorities, literally the government's going to really crack down on teenage e-smoking. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know enough about it. I would say it's probably a good thing to cut down on it. But on the same token, when the government gets involved, I kind of have one eye open like a duck eye, because my question would be why. I'll never forget, they said, 55 miles an hour saves lives. Okay, all right, so we go slower. Then all of a sudden, 65 to 75 miles an hour is okay. So what happened to the 55 mile an hour saved lives? We just want to kill people? I mean, so this is the point with cigarettes. Is this based on cigarette companies coming in saying, hey, we're losing money here? The tobacco companies are losing money. So, hey, government, we'll give you some cashola if you crack down on this over here, so they come to us over here. I mean, I don't know. I'm call that conspiracy, but I always have an eye open when the government gets involved in something.
Great point. Folks, Ronnie McMullen's with us. Ronnie McMullen, getthetea.com. Obviously, he understands that there's a lot of things. First of all, the tea is so amazing because it does flush out your system. It does keep the cleansing going, get those toxins out of your body. And Ronnie, when you started talking about silent killers. I mean, you've got some stuff. You got the Super T Plus, the Allison Advance. You're running specials on that this month, looks like. Take down tea, take it down. Take what down, Ronnie? What are you talking about here?
Take down tea is take it off your shelf and drink it. No, it's for supporting glucose levels, healthy levels. It's supporting, and I'm saying that in a certain way so people wink, wink. But basically, it's for supporting your health, your healthy blood sugars at normal range. And some of us don't go in the normal range. So that's what that is. And it's, I am so happy that I got that product. I use it myself. It's great. I was a guinea pig for a lot of the testing on it. So it's, I'm very excited about it. And when we're talking about silent killers, diabetes is kind of that one. But it's not, when you talk about silent killer, everybody knows about diabetes. We've been trained by the establishment now about diabetes. We know that, high sugar is no good, but do we really know what it's doing? Do we really know how serious it is? Or do we just go to the doctor, take our drugs and maybe not do anything naturally to fight it? And do we just go down that route? What is it we're doing? And that's a big key issue too.
So these silent killers, I mean, there's so many angles we can go with this. I mean, obviously heart attacks is probably one of maybe still the leading cause of death, let's say. Cancer's got to be getting close. But what are the silent killers out there, Ronnie, that we need to be aware of? And what can we do about it?
I'm a guy that's been searching for cause, okay? I would probably be a terrible doctor because I don't like symptoms. I'm like, okay, if you got a headache, why? I don't want to just say you have a headache, here, take 2 aspirin when you're ready to go. Because you're going to come back the next day or the week after and you're going to say, yeah, still got a headache, man. I took that aspirin and took it away and went right back. So you're going, okay, why do you have a headache? And that's where I try to come in because I don't hear a lot of that anymore. Why is something happening? So when we're talking about silent killers, everybody knows about diabetes. Everybody knows about high blood pressure, heart attacks. We know all this stuff, right? But do we know why? And we don't, or and some of us do. But what about something where a drug company kind of knows about what's going on? And I might get in trouble saying this, but where they know what's going on, but they don't want to tell you what's going on, and they make it sound like something else. So let's just talk about something that everybody's heard about. This is not a silent killer. This is something that you've heard about. High cholesterol. Okay? Everybody's heard about that. Oh, I have high cholesterol. We just don't. First of all, cholesterol is not a bad thing, just so you know. So if you had super low cholesterol, you probably wouldn't be very healthy. So cholesterol, we hear about high cholesterol all the time. We hear that it's dangerous, and obviously when you have high cholesterol and you have high blood pressure, I mean, you're in line for a heart attack. Right. When you have inflammation, you're in line for a heart attack. I mean, we can go on and on. Diabetes people don't realize you're in line for a heart attack. So it's important because you got to watch your blood pressure and all this. But what is it that could make everything worse? And that's where I came across something that, and I went to a nutritionalist. So this is really kind of backed by not pseudoscience. I went to a nutritionalist, and of course, I'm one of these guys I love to learn. I went to a nutritionalist, and I said, give me a test, tell me what I got, what I don't have, blah, blah, blah. And I want to know what food allergies I have. And it was very interesting. I would tell anybody out there, I couldn't tell you in your own city or state, but go to a nutritionalist and get tested. It is a blast to know what you can and cannot eat and how it'll change your life. So anyway, I did this. And she looked up at me and she said, and I'm sharing this. This is a very transparent moment. She looked up at me and she says, well, you have blood sugar problems, right? Yes. Do you know what's pushing the level of that? No. You mean like a cause? Well, maybe not a cause, but something that's definitely helping that stay in place. I said, well, I'm open ears. You have, Ronnie, what is called candida.
What?
Yeah. we might have heard what candida is, and I've heard it so many times, but it's one of those things where you keep hearing something and you just don't pay attention. Because I would have people call into the company saying, "You have anything for candida?" Which, by the way, you might want to try for a nice product, Allison. Anyway, so anyway, long and the short of it is candida. So I said, what is candida? It's an overgrowth of yeast, which is naturally in your body, but it's an overgrowth, usually has something to do with the thyroid. So I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Well, what it means is you have too much yeast, and that too much yeast will cause major, and as she described it to me, it is the major gateway to major diseases. Multiple.
So now is the yeast, are you talking it's in the bloodstream or?
It is in your body. This yeast is in your body. You come naturally with it, but it overgrows because of a thyroid. Sometimes your thyroid goes out. Sometimes there's all kinds of different things that go on. So I started thinking about this, and I said, okay, and I told her, I said, is this dangerous? Oh, yes. She goes, most people don't realize diabetes wants to kill you. Wow. And I was like, and it wasn't a fear thing. It was just kind of like, let's just get it on the table. Diabetes wants to kill you. As long as you have candida, you will never get rid of diabetes. Never. So candida, I said, what if you take care of the candida?
Yeah.
Then your chances of removing diabetes could enhance by a lot. So that's when I said, oh my gosh. And so then I started digging more. It's like, okay, I don't want to take one person's word for it, even though my nutritionist got it going on. So I found this doctor, his name's Robbie Mitchell, he's an MD, and he says, what causes high cholesterol? And you read his article, and guess what it is?
Candida.
It's candida.
Sounds like, wait a minute, Ronnie, it sounds like a taco or something, like candida. It sounds like it should be on the menu at one of my favorite Mexican restaurants or something. Candida today. Candida. Enchiladas and candidas and tamales.
Yeah. And this is where you have to say, okay, so what are you saying here? Well, candida, okay, enhances, and here, now, there's a way to get rid of it, and there's a way to enhance it. And you're going to be blown away with what enhances it. So think about the 50s or 60s movie, The Blob, okay? Right. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What feeds candida? Do you know what the number one thing is?
No, I do not. Sugar?
Sugar. So every time you have sugar, your candida multiplies.
So you're saying, Ronnie, candida.
You missed your calling. Maybe your other calling was a comedian. No, that's good. But you did. That's the truth. So every time you eat sugar, it multiplies. Literally multiplies. The more you multiply it, the more your diabetes stays in place, the more your multiple diseases from this, stay in place. Okay? So this is now, let's go back to the cholesterol. So what causes high cholesterol? The candida. So here's what's interesting. So I found an article, and it talked about cholesterol medicine. And the medicine, they say, here, take this for your high cholesterol. Have you ever heard a doctor say, take this for your high cholesterol because you have candida?
Well, I do take a statin for high cholesterol. I mean, I have probably.
Statins are scary. Those are scary drugs, just so you know, not to throw, stones at you, but catch them with you.
Candida.
Candida. But they always tell you, take this statin drug for your cholesterol. That will bring your cholesterol down, but it doesn't bring your cholesterol down. Do you know what it does?
No, I do not. Tell me.
It lowers your candida, and that naturally brings your cholesterol down. So it's not the drug actually working on the candida. It's the drug, or not the drug working on the cholesterol. It's actually working on the candida.
Well, isn't that a good thing, though, Ronnie? I mean, folks.
It is, but the cholesterol drug is not necessarily. You would want to do your research on a cholesterol drug. They're very not good. Now, doctors will tell you it's good, but I'll tell you they're not so good. And the long and the short of it is, if we're just dealing with drugs that are only targeting one thing, so we can target candida naturally, okay? One is we got to kill, and here's the other thing, it's not just sugar. So you line up to the ice cream parlor, you have ice cream, and you go, oh, all that sugar. It's not just that. So you cut sugar out of your life, and you say, okay, I'm going to kill my candida. I just got rid of my sugar. It's still not going to happen. Why? because there's all kinds of stuff. So like you could like mushrooms, that's a fungus. Now, by the way, guys, you're going to love me for this one. If you have toenail fungus, guess what? You got an overgrowth of candida.
Because that's yeast. Because you're saying that's an overproduction of yeast in the body,
Yes,
which is
correct.
which you're saying the thyroid might actually participate in that.
Yes, exactly. So point being is, if you want to kill this thing and you don't want to totally kill it, and you can't, you're just going to bring it down into the normal range. And if you bring in the normal range, which is how you diet, and not diet like, you got to kill sugar, which, by the way, you're going to lose weight. You got to kill your bread because it's got lots of yeast in it. If you have a beer once in a while, get rid of it. You can't have, alcohol is not good. Pickles, not good. Vinegar, not good, except for apple cider vinegar. That's great. You can have that. If you take this down, you're going to watch quite a few things happen. Number one, if you have diabetes or blood sugar problems, you're going to watch that come down. If you have cholesterol problems, you're going to watch that come down. And 10 to 1 says your blood pressure is going to come down too. So this is something that is not, I mean, yes, there are drugs that take care of candida, but they don't really take care of them. I don't really know a drug that actually takes care of things. There's actually lisinopril, I think, is a drug that takes care of fungus in your toes, but it doesn't always do it. Well, it's because it didn't kill it. You didn't go to the source. So if you don't go to the source, you don't get better. Does that make sense?
It really does. Folks, this is Ronnie McMullen with us from GetTheT.com. Ronnie McMullen from GetTheT.com. You can go to his website at GetTheT.com or call him. Get on the phone. Call him up at 928-308-0408. Isn't that great? It's again 928-308-0408. And they'll walk you through some of this. I mean, you got apple cider vinegar pills. I know you do.
I do, and it's really good for you. Another thing that candida can't stand is garlic, and the part of the garlic that they can't stand is allicin. Wonder who has that. So when you have the allicin advanced, there you go. Another thing, and I don't carry this, but just give you some tips. One of your number one things that will kill candida, okay, not just make it go down a little bit, but kill it, is coconut oil. It actually puts holes in the cells of the candida, and the candida dies off.
Wow.
So these are major. Now, if you do some of these things, you're going to experience some side effects. You're going to lose a little bit of weight. You're going to feel a lot better. Your energy is going to come up. And if you have toenail fungus, it's going to get better.
I can't deal with that. I can't deal with all that. I mean,
it's really tough to do that. It's going to be a tough run. But, I just had to make sure I tell people that there are side effects.
Disclaimer, folks, a disclaimer there that if you do. So if you go to a course, GetTheT.com, you've got this great tea. You've got the super tea. You got the peppermint tea. And so take down tea. I mean, all of that is because you're getting rid of the toxins. But even though you're getting rid of toxins, Ronnie, I'm hearing you say candida is a different ball game. That's a different issue.
It's a different bird. And, like I said, allicin really helps. Coconut oil really helps. Apple cider vinegar really helps. A lot of people don't like and I have the apple cider vinegar pills, which is good. But a lot of people don't like, taking the raw apple cider vinegar. But these are things I'm just sharing with people. You might, because a lot of people, it's like, what? I have this. Well, how do I get rid of it? Nobody tells you anything. I like to tell people, it's like, and not just by here, go to my products, but, here's some things you can do that'll change. I know we love our bread. Nobody loves bread probably more than me, or your donuts or all these things, but you've got to kill yeast and sugar and watch the changes. And by the way, gluten's another killer. It's right in the candida rule. So when you get rid of some of this stuff, you're kind of automatically getting rid of much of your gluten. I'm telling you right now, when I did just getting rid of gluten, I lost about 30 pounds.
Right. Because, and there's a lot of, you can find food, folks, with gluten-free. There's more and more of it all the time. And Ronnie, what about some people don't like to drink tea, okay? But you got that 365, and that's the same thing, isn't it?
But I will say this, and I'm not trying to down the D365 because it's a great product, but if you go with anything that you have that you take that is liquid, is faster than anything you take. Like, we're actually in the works of putting down takedown pills. And people go, oh, well, I don't want to drink this tea. Well, the tea tastes like apple or pumpkin pie, so it really tastes good. But let's just say you go, oh, I'm not a tea drinker, whether that be get the tea from the detox or whether that be takedown, whatever. Anytime anything is liquid, it's now. It hits your tongue, it's now. Pills take hours, and you lose sometimes quite a bit of percentage. This is why the RDA, and this is my opinion, it's another little theory. So let's say you have a vitamin C and the RDA, which is the recommended dose allowance. So the RDA is 1,000 milligrams for vitamin C. Your body might absorb anywhere between 300 and 600 of that 1,000 milligrams. Well, by the way, 1,000 milligrams is not going to change your life, okay? You should be taking anywhere between 2,000 and 4,000 milligrams. But out of that 2,000 to 4,000, you just got to cut at least 40 to 60% off is what's going to actually get into your system. When you drink something liquid, it's now, and you get all of it.
So if I get this right, Ronnie, high cholesterol, of course, can bring heart disease, and that can kill you. That's certainly a silent killer, and you've brought that up today. Great. You're saying candida is what causes cholesterol, and you're saying it's sugar that creates candida. So heart disease...
Candida's already in you. Sugar multiplies it.
Okay.
Sugar is the I guess you'd call it the person that drives the people to the bank to rob the bank. That's what sugar is. So it makes it grow.
But you're tying sugar directly to heart disease.
Absolutely. I mean, you get rid of sugar. Now natural sugar, like something out of an orange or an apple, it's usually a different ballgame. At first, if you're really overgrown with candida, you want to stay off even fruit for a little while. But once you get I gave you the bad news, so let me give you the good news.
Thank you.
Once you get the candida under control, you can go back to having some pickles and maybe some vinegars and a little bit of this or a little bit of that. You might have a little bit of bread, or you might have a little bit of something that's good. And you can have a little bit of sugar. But you got to remember, if you get that thing overgrown again, sugar's just multiplying it. So if you always maybe you have always are having allicin in your diet, you're always having coconut oil in your diet, that's going to compound also what you put in there, so you're going to be more balanced. And really, it's about body balance. This is why a lot of the diets people take, they don't work, because it's still out of balance. It's like, okay, starve yourself, and people go, okay, I did that for 2 weeks, I lost 10 pounds, and it wasn't worth it. But if you get balanced, you got to tell people what they can have, because we can't keep hearing what we can't have.
Right.
And here's something: if you have diabetes,
Ronnie,
candida keeps it in place.
Ronnie, you know how many times I was told eggs was bad, then eggs was good, and then eggs was bad, and then eggs were good, and then they were good again, and then bad 3 more times? I mean, people are confused,
Well, and then there's the second part of the story where people go, I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up my piece of cake. I don't want to give up my big red meat. Red meat's a killer. It's a killer. It's red meat. Here's one for you. When you eat red meat, as soon as you put it in your mouth, inflammation takes place. Remember I talked about that wet in the tongue? Well, guess what? Meat's the same way, and boom, right now you have inflammation. So there's things that we can change. And we don't have to go like vegan and plant-based and go crazy. We can balance it out better. We can have some chicken, we can have some salad, we can have some broccoli and some cauliflower, and we can have a little fun and a little sweet or a little something once in a while. But if you are dangerously in trouble and you're overweight and you're like, I don't like this, some of these things I'm telling you might want to try for just a little while. Get it in balance and come back. You will lose weight if you get rid of what I'm telling you to get. If you take yeast out of your diet and take the gluten out of your diet, you don't have to worry about anything, because you're going to lose weight. Guarantee it. Just right now.
All right, Ryan. Thank you.
No supplements, no nothing. You will lose weight.
Thank you so much for that.
Weight that you're losing. We don't want to lose our in other words, it's going to be the bad stuff that's in you, not the good stuff. You're not going to lose muscle. You're going to lose the fat.
Thank you for telling me. You're the third person to tell me this week already, don't eat red meat. So look, I better start listening to this a little better.
Chicken and fish, and go to town. Chicken, fish, shrimp, scallops. I mean, you can go. The fish products are usually the best. Just, be careful. You don't want too much mercury, that kind of thing. Salmon, whatever. But chicken is really good. And then, like beans, people forget, refried beans. You can make tostadas. You're pushing a vegan meal almost.
I love that. I
love
it.
tostadas.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. And then if you go, well, I didn't get enough protein, throw some chicken on your tostada. It's good to go.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Ronnie, I got to ask you a question. Nopal cactus. Well, okay, I see you've got it on there. Nopal cactus. Can you tell us what this is about? What is this product?
Helps with your supporting blood sugar levels.
Like maintenance? Is it like a maintenance deal?
Yeah, like a maintenance, but it'll actually move the dial a little bit. Not like some of the other things that we just talked about. And I got to be very careful because with the word diabetes comes lots and lots of money, and people don't like you diving into their money. So I'll just say, take it off the shelf and drink it and see what you think of my pumpkin pie. And I would tell you that you want to check your blood sugars.
Well, can you tell us what kind of cactus this is? I mean, what is this product made out of a little bit?
Prickly pear. Yoo-hoo, prickly pear cactus. It's really, really good for you. I mean, it's really good for you. I like to grab things that are, very good for you. So it's really good for glucose.
So once again, that's sugar. We're back to get rid of the sugar. Get rid of the sugar. Now get rid of the red meat. I got it. Okay. Get rid of the red meat. And
here's the thing with sugar. Yes, you got to get rid of it right now. Okay.
Okay.
But that's the bad news. Let's go to the good news.
All right.
Not forever. Not forever.
Okay.
Because when you lose some weight and your yeast is way down, then to have a little ice cream once in a while, and I'm talking a little, not like 2 little spoonfuls or something, but just a little ice cream. You can have that. It's all about balance. The guy goes, oh, I'll just have this alcoholic drink, and the next thing you know, he's blitzed because he had too many. He's out of balance. So there's things that you can do, and it's like some people. I would tell people, if you're a guy that likes to eat your 8 or 12 ounce steak, me telling you to get off meat is just like ripping your wisdom teeth out. Right?
Right.
So let's talk about reality. So let's start with this. Okay. So you do 12 ounces of meat, do 6.
All right.
And then do that for 4 weeks. And then after that, do 3. So now instead of your main piece of your diet, like in other words, when you have a plate full of food and you always have, there's my steak and there's my potato, but my steak's always bigger than my potato and my corn and whatever. Corn is a simple carb, and corn is just like, you might as well just have a bowl of ice cream.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It'll kill you.
So
yeah,
what about all this corn syrup? I mean, all the corn syrups and everything.
Absolutely the worst thing in the world you can have because it's GMO full, and corn syrup that's why you're seeing lots of barbecue sauces, a lot of new products coming out right now, and they say no fructose, no corn syrup, no. They're all against it, and that's great. That's the best thing. We are having the foods wake up. But I would tell you, if you have a meat problem, just start cutting it down month by month, not by 1 ounce or 2 ounce, but like cut it in half, then cut it in half again, and make it your side dish, and then try to get rid of it completely and replace it with something like fish or chicken or something that's good for you. And you will watch. I mean, this is not something, we say this is the bad news, and it is, but there's also good news too. And the good news is when you step on the scale and you see a major difference, you're going to say, wow. Now, if you add exercise to any of this, and everybody go, well, you should exercise 30 minutes to an hour a day. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's again, pull my other wisdom tooth. So what you do is you get on and you go to take a walk. Just take a walk, 10 minutes. And you say, 10 minutes ain't going to change anything. Well, yes, it is, because if you do 10 minutes 6 days a week, that's an hour of exercise every week. That's what you never had.
That's a very good advice.
And you start little, and then you go bigger. You go, oh, yeah, that walk was pretty good. You have no idea. If you're a guy that's stressed or you're a girl that's stressed, if you take a walk, do you have any idea what it's doing to your stress levels? It's dropping them. So now let's talk about stress levels with cortisol. Cortisol is fear. Okay, you have fear. You wake up with, it'll raise your blood sugars. It'll raise your stress levels. And guess what? All that raises your inflammation. So if you're tight in the shoulders and your neck hurts and everything else, this is all stress related. And ask me how quick you can die from stress. It's another issue, another silent killer. There are people that have had heart attacks. And when I say people, young people in their 30s that are completely fit, that work out because of stress, had a major heart attack and died.
Folks, this is Ronnie McMullen, GetTheT.com, certainly giving us words of wisdom here about the silent killers and the things that cause it. And, of course, go to his website at www.getthet.com. That's www.getthet.com. Or call right now, 928-308-0408. And ask them about the products they have, and get some of these products and get some things started in your life. Make adjustments in the eating habits, and then start applying, drinking the tea, and some of the other supplements. It'll make a difference. There's no doubt about that. Ronnie, thank you so much for coming on, being with us today. I don't know where the time went, but I tell you, once again, you're great information. You really care about us. You care about people and their lives, and we want to thank you for everything you're doing, really, at GetTheT.com.
I appreciate you guys, too. Make sure that when you go to our website, if you decide you want to do any of that and get some of that stuff, make sure you say that Pastor Paul Begley was the one that sent you. We'd like him to get the credit.
Appreciate it very much, Ronnie. God bless you guys. We'll be back again next time right here